What happens to a baby who survives abortion? Democrats and Republicans clash. This is America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. If you love nonpartisan news coverage and are satisfied with mediocre jokes, take a moment to subscribe to America Uncovered on YouTube, even if you already have, because YouTube has been unsubscribing people with no notification. That's not a joke. So today we're talking about abortion. I think I'm going to have to start this one off with an America Uncovered mental health break. Look at these little puppies. Okay, that's better. So it's not just any old abortion we're talking about today. It's the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act. It's legislation about what to do with an infant who survives abortion. I'm gonna need another mental health break. Oh, look at the kitty cat. Okay, let's see if I can get through this now. The Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act is the brainchild of Nebraska Republican Senator Ben Sasse. Just how sassy is he? Sassy enough to call for an investigation into Pornhub for human trafficking. Kind of makes that whole internet is for porn thing pretty dark. But back to lighter topics, like abortion. The Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act proposes that a healthcare practitioner present at the time the child is born alive must exercise the same degree of professional skill, care, and diligence to preserve the life and health of the child as a reasonably diligent and conscientious healthcare practitioner would render to any other child born alive at the same gestational age. Violators could be fined and/or jailed for up to 5 years. Obviously, this mainly applies to late-term abortions. Sasse introduced the bill in 2017, but it did not make it out of committee. He introduced it again in 2019, but in February 2020, a majority of Democratic senators blocked it from getting a vote. And let me just tell you, the fact that this bill is coming up again during an election year is purely a coincidence. Think no more about it. The Hypnotoad commands you. So obviously, this is about politics. Abortion is one of the most politicized topics there is in America. Conservative media framed the blocking of the bill as the Democrats being totally cool with killing babies. Liberal media portrayed it as an unnecessary bill that Republicans have introduced to smear Democrats and gain an advantage in the upcoming election. And the President of the United States said,
"The Democrat position on abortion is now so extreme that they don't mind executing babies after birth."
Now, President Trump is not exactly secretive about his stance on abortion.
Do you want the court, including the justices that you will name, to overturn Roe v. Wade?
If we put another 2 or perhaps 3 justices on, that's really what's going to be, will happen. And that'll happen automatically, in my opinion, because I am putting pro-life justices on the court.
And Trump made good on that promise by appointing Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court. Can you guess what Kavanaugh's stance on abortion is?
Can you think of a case that deserves to be overturned?
Yes.
Would you volunteer one?
No.
Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg is holding on for dear life. The Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act also comes at a time when several Democratic states, like New York, have passed laws allowing late-term abortions in some cases. Now, according to a Gallup poll, a majority of Americans believe abortion should be legal under certain circumstances. Late-term abortions are an incredibly divisive topic, although this bill actually has nothing to do with whether a late-term abortion actually gets carried out. It's about how to treat a baby if it is somehow born alive after an abortion. Ahead of the vote on the bill, Republican Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell called the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act a straightforward piece of legislation to protect newborn babies. Meanwhile, several Democratic senators called the bill anti-doctor, anti-woman, and anti-family. So what does the bill really say? Are Democrats really baby-killing monsters? Do you agree with Mirror Universe Mr. Rogers that children are weak? It's a little more complicated than all that. For instance, Democratic Senator Tim Kaine argued the bill was unnecessary because infanticide is already illegal in every state. He based that on this 2002 legislation, the Born Alive Infants Protection Act of 2002. It was unanimously passed in Congress and was signed into law by George W. Bush. And so Kaine argued, I support that law, which is still in effect. There is no need for additional federal legislation on this topic. That existing law gives legal protections to infants who are born alive after failed induced abortions, but does not include punishments for healthcare providers. And even without this new proposed law, abortion doctors have been prosecuted for infanticide. One doctor, Kermit Gosnell, was found guilty on 3 counts of first-degree murder. He was giving abortions to women who were sometimes 26 weeks pregnant or more, which was illegal in Pennsylvania. And in some cases, on babies that were delivered and viable, Gosnell performed what he called snipping. Gosnell, or a staff member he trained in the procedure, took a pair of surgical scissors and stabbed it into the soft flesh at the back of the baby's neck, severing the spinal cord. Gosnell saved the feet of some of these babies, cutting them off and preserving them in specimen jars. Okay, so Dr. Kermit Gosnell was also a monster. And not like the monster of my nightmares, Dr. Kermit the Frog. Mental health break, please. No, that just makes it worse. So Senator Sass has his bill that would require doctors to try to save the life of a baby born alive after an abortion. But since killing babies is already illegal, is this bill really necessary? A spokesman for Sass told us the bill is aimed at passive situations in which there's a backing away from providing medical interventions for a baby born alive. So the bill aims not to stop killing babies, that's already illegal, but to require doctors to actively save babies. But how common is it for a baby to survive an abortion? Well, let's look at some abortion statistics. According to Alexis McGill Johnson, acting president of Planned Parenthood Federation of America, the politicians behind this bill are making up a problem that doesn't exist. And she should know what she's talking about. In their 2017 to 2018 annual report, Planned Parenthood says they performed over 300,000 abortions that year. They clearly know a thing or two about abortions. So in her view, there's no such issue as babies surviving abortion. But someone who might disagree with that is anti-abortion activist Gianna Jessen. According to her birth certificate, she was born during a saline abortion. Her birth certificate was signed by the abortion doctor, and she survived despite being born 2 months premature and weighing only 2.5 pounds. Sadly, the abortion procedure gave her cerebral palsy. This is still by no means a common thing, and getting statistics on it is very difficult. Only 6 states require some reporting on abortions that result in a baby being born alive. Those states are Arizona, Florida, Michigan, Minnesota, Oklahoma, and Texas. In Minnesota, in 2017, there were over 10,000 abortions. 3 babies were born alive, 2 were given no care, and all 3 died. In Arizona in 2017, there were over 12,000 abortions. 10 were born alive. In Oklahoma in 2018, there were just over 5,000 abortions, and none were born alive. In Florida for 2017, there were 69,000 abortions. 11 were born alive. In Texas, the most recent data is from 2015. There were 55,000 abortions that year, and none were born alive. In Michigan in 2017, there were more than 26,000 abortions, and none were reported born alive. So even though it's rare, there are cases where a baby survives an abortion attempt. It has long been illegal for abortion doctors to kill a baby that survives. But currently, there is no law requiring doctors to actively provide medical care to save the baby's life. And so, even though there are only a few dozen cases of babies born alive after abortions each year, it's a moral issue for people on both sides, and it's a charged political issue it seems we simply can't avoid during an election cycle. So, what do you think? Leave your comments below. Thanks for watching America Uncovered. Once again, I'm your host, Chris Chappell. See you next time.